Good evening, everybody. Thank you for taking the time to join me today while I facilitate our discussion around the current billboard structure we have in place for our police department. Throughout this presentation, we're going to discuss specifically our neighborhood safety and the importance of understanding the communities we serve. And this ties directly into the billboard structure that we are using. Currently, we have the same picture on billboards for both our urban and suburban areas. And I really want to discuss a little bit closer why it's important for us to differentiate the billboards in those areas and explain some further meaning as to the impacts it can have in our communities if we aren't aware of the symbolism that can come through those billboards. Once again, highlighting the importance of understanding the communities that we serve. So um, the topics we're going to cover, we're going to talk about cultural familiarity. We're going to talk about cognitive elements, which are memories, experiences, and expectations, cultural engagement, and semiotic code. So when we go through this, in the next couple slides, we're going to discuss a couple different pictures and explain where these four categories tie into them. But also, this is the blueprint we're going to use to make sure that we are effectively representing ourselves to the community in a positive manner. So as I get into this, there's one subject quote I'd like to highlight based upon the expert Robin Landa. He's an expert in visual communication, and he defines symbols as an image that has an arbitrary or conventional relationship between the signifier and the thing signified. We decode meaning through learned associations. For example, a dove is a symbol of peace, and they can be spoken or written words are symbols as well. And we're going to focus on the visual symbols that are represented and really want our police department, like that dove is a symbol of peace. We want our police department to really symbolize safety and security for our families. And one important topic that I want to highlight too is emotional engagement. And this next slide covers a nice quote by Derek Rucker, who is a contributor on Forbes online website. And he defines emotional engagement as saying when it's properly used, emotions can help facilitate consumers' understanding and acceptance of an advertising message. Indeed, the successful use of emotion can be the difference between a consumer buying a particular product or service and a consumer revolting against the advertisement. Now, he's referencing a product that is being sold, and the reality is we're selling the safety, the community involvement, the community representation we have in our police department to our community. So in our instance, the product is going to be our police department and how we project it to the communities that we serve. Okay, so now we want to go through a couple quick examples in the next couple minutes, highlighting the four topics that we covered and showing a difference between urban setting for a billboard and a suburban setting for a billboard. So this first example is an urban example, and at first we'll talk about cultural familiarity and cultural engagement. So when we look at these aspects, we want to make sure that we find items, memories, experiences that are culturally familiar. So when we talk about an urban setting, oftentimes we think of kids playing basketball at the park, kids playing in the street because there's not a lot of green space. So in this example, we have kids in a street. There's some basketball hoops set up. They're playing basketball. There's diverse culture, which you'd also see within an urban setting. You can see towards the left part of that graphic, we have some shops, it appears so. Way in the back, you can see some more brick buildings. So we have a lot of urban representation there based upon the buildings. And then when we think about the cultural engagement, we can see the basketball being played, but also there's some parents in there. There's some police officers on the left side of the page, as well as their police cruisers that are parked blocking off the street so the kids can play basketball. When we're thinking about semiotic code, I mentioned it earlier, but when we talk about a metonymic representation, we have a lot of brick and street and pavement, and that's very recognized with an urban setting. And then we see a lot of smiles on faces in the adults, in the kids, so we can see that they're having fun. So overall, we're painting a enjoyable urban setting, recognizing that cultural familiarity, engagement, some aspects of semiotic code, and attaching that experience to the memories and expectations that a lot of the individuals that'll see this billboard in the urban setting have experienced themselves. Next, we look at our suburban example. So once again, we talk about cultural familiarity and cultural engagement. So we have a very suburban setting. We have green lawns, bigger houses, attached garages. We have lawn chairs in the driveway. Once again, I have a street that's being used, but it's more used in a suburban setting with a block party where we have all the food laid out. You have different types of food there. We have different types of families. We have a lady holding a baby. We have some older individuals in that picture. So big picture, there's just a lot of different cultural representations there. We talk about memories, experiences, and expectations. So there's a Barbie Jeep in the middle, which brings a lot of people back to their childhood. You have a potluck sort of feel, which creates fun and excitement and family experience that way as well. You see various groups set up across this picture, which we can tie to our semiotic code as far as groups chatting, having fun. We're seeing smiles, or we see that fun as well. And once again, we see the green grass. We got some speakers in the background for music. So just a really fun party time going on there. Next example, we got a few seconds left here quick. Once again, this is a representation of basketball, and we see the police officers playing with the kids. And there's actually a basketball player there, Shaquille O'Neal, who's part of that picture as well. So once again, this shows kids, basketball, fun, and putting a positive spin on the police presence in this area, which sometimes you might not see in an urban setting. For a final one, another suburban example. Once again, we have children, we have green space, we have adults walking with the children, diverse backgrounds of children as well. So thanks for listening to my presentation. I hope this was eye-opening to each of you, and please reach out if you have any questions. Otherwise, have a wonderful day.